Welcome back to my channel. I'm Ross the Oliver Man, if you haven't seen my videos before. And 1 year ago today, it was in this very spot that I lined up a whole bunch of tractors out here and made my first YouTube video to tell everybody who I was and, you know, that I was going to start doing this. And as a little bit of, I guess, heritage of that, you can see that 2 of the hay rakes are still sitting here after a year. I never did get to work on either one of those, so that's going to have to happen this year because the hay has grown up around it. But anyway, it has been a year and quite a journey in some respects. And I have a fan, I guess you would say, that is in middle school, and he suggested that I make a compilation video of all of my videos for the 1 year anniversary. And I really didn't know if I wanted to do that because I did something like that at Christmas and it was kind of a headache to edit something so long. But I figured I would try it, and I cut it all down to where there's maybe 5 to 10 seconds of each video, which consequently in a year's time I've made right at 150 videos. I have right at just under 140,000 views, and I have probably just under 1,500 subscribers. I think it's 1,400 and something. So not too shabby for a year of an unprofessional person just picking up a camera and making videos playing with his toys. So we will take a look at some of that footage, and I'll throw in some unseen footage and maybe try to explain some things along the way if I feel it necessary. But we'll get started and take a look at a few of the first videos. Hello YouTube, my name is Ross, also known as the Oliver Man. I'll give you a guess as to how I got that nickname. It basically started with this sign. I show hit and miss engines at the county fair and some different shows around, and one of my buddies, who's in his 80s, decided to make me this sign. This is one of the first videos I'm making, and I didn't have the camera yet, so I thought we would start here. So basically we're going to put this on right up close to that seal, and then this is the part where it's going to take you a lot of patience. I know what you're probably thinking. Ross, are you really that stupid? And the answer is probably. Hello YouTube, my name is Ross, the Oliver Man, and today I thought we would talk a little bit about the Oliver side delivery rakes. Story time on the Oliver 88. This tractor is, I believe, if I remember right, it is the second one that I ever bought. Today we're going to look at the 1955. Will it run? I hate to disappoint you, but the answer is no. The 1755. It seems to have lost a little weight, but like I said before, these cabs just aren't for me. I don't enjoy getting in and out of them because I suffer from MPF, which is male pattern fatness. I think it looks pretty good with the fenders on. Well, I got a little more progress done on this tractor. I got my bracket mounted on the back of the seat again, and I also got the hydraulic cover mounted on and a factory step so I can get on. And I thought we'd take this, go on a little crop tour maybe. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it appears to be pretty well on its way. Doesn't that just look pretty out here, surrounded by all the crops? yesterday, if you watched that video, we just started the wheat harvest, and it was towards evening, so we basically spent a little bit of time getting the combine tuned in and decided we'd hit it hard today. So before he gets back here and starts combining again, I'm going to try to bale some of the straw. The 4180, also known as Mighty Whitey. 272 disc, 30 foot. A little bit much for this tractor, but it was cheap, and that's the name of the game here. It's the next day, and we're going to try to run the soil finisher over this and get it ready to plant. Here we have our nice level seed bed, ready for some double crop soybeans. Well, we're back out here and ready to plant some double crop soybeans. And I thought we would use the 1755, since I haven't really had a chance to do any real field work with it yet. If you watched the tillage video, you probably remember me telling that this thing blew a steering line right at the end of finishing up that field of double crop beans. So I made it this far under the tree, and this is just as good a spot of any, I guess, to work on it. We definitely have a problem there as well as down the line, so might as well just fix them all. Power traction hitch, what is it? That's a question that gets asked all the time, and the best answer I can give you is it's basically Oliver's version to compete with the Farmall fast hitch and the Ford 3-point hitch. Well, this is another tractor here that's not an Oliver, and you probably wonder what the deal is with that. Well, this actually was my first tractor. It belonged to my great-grandpa, and anyway, it sat in the barn where I grew up. He got sick, and my great-grandpa did, and basically he thought it was the end, and he went into the hospital. And he called me in one day before school to the hospital, and he said, "I want to see you." So we went in there, and he grabbed me and pulled me close to him, and he said, "That old tractor's yours." So he gave it to me, and this is my first tractor. Look what we have here. We have
1, 2, 3, 4. And then move around here. And we've got 5, 6 new lines. Here we are at my favorite place, the Jackson County Fair. These are the 3 tractors I brought, and we'll come back and look at them a little bit later. Well, as you can see, it's a sea of orange. It's been a little bit. Things got kind of busy. I figured today I'd just kind of put together a random assortment of stuff. I was going to make an update video on the 4180, and I got it all back together and started it up, and ended up that it was leaking out of the oil pressure gauge line. Somewhere along the line I must have either caught it or it was kinked or something, and it was starting to leak oil all down here over everything, so I shut it off right away. So I've got a new line to put that on, and I'll get to that one of these days. Here's a 77. I haven't really done much with it since I got the new rim mounted on again. Well, this isn't all of it. I made one trip earlier about a month ago and brought home the rest of the stuff, and what I did is I bought a 1850 that's been started to be parted out, and so it's going to be like a big jigsaw puzzle. Well, I said we might do a crop tour, and so I decided I needed to go get some gas for the 77 before we took it for a run, but I figured I'd stop along the road here on the way to town and show you this field of soybeans, which is probably one of the prettiest ones I've ever raised. I mean, it doesn't hardly have a weed in the field. There's some area I didn't get planted here in the corner and weeds along the ditch, but I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's almost perfect. We could use some rain. It is on the verge of, it's gonna hurt it, so I really hope it does rain a little bit, but this is still pretty good looking stuff if it just ends up producing. So I'm pretty happy with this. So these are double crop beans that were planted on about, well, there's a video about it, I think like the 5th of July. And they're not looking too bad for being planted late like that. Tractor that I actually bought. My first tractor was that Ford that my great-grandpa gave me, but this one is the first one I actually bought and paid for with my own money. Last time we went and checked on some of the crops, and there's a lot of weeds around the edges of the field and whatnot, and I couldn't really stand that. So today we're going to go back and try to mow down some of that stuff that we can get to. Well, that's the problem with working along the road. You see all kinds of people you know, and before you know it, a half an hour's passed. So hey, I thought I would tell you a little bit of the story about this Super 88. You saw it in my last video, and I mentioned that I bought it on Christmas Eve of last year, actually. Yeah. There's a lot of asses that live around here. The driver just might be one of them. We put this on here with a skid loader with pallet forks. So we're gonna see how this goes with the tractor and loader. Tomorrow we'll work on trying to get it up on 4 wheels. And welcome back to the channel where you get to see a slightly obese white man in his mid-30s do things that OSHA would frown upon. When I last left you yesterday, this was sitting on the ground. Well, as promised, here we are back on 4 wheels. I forgot to mention today's episode is sponsored by the Handyman Jack. If you're not afraid of death, the Handyman Jack might be the tool for you. The 356 mower. This was one of 2 offerings in Oliver's modern line of 3-point mounted mowers. Thought we'd talk about the 1550. You might have saw this tractor in my video with the 356 mower. That's mainly what this tractor does most of the time. I got this tractor on a partial trade for doing some work for a guy, and like I said before, I take Oliver's as currency. I do like getting paid with Oliver stuff. So what made me want to start doing YouTube videos? I actually had an idea for something like this before YouTube even existed. As a kid, it occurred to me that I really enjoyed driving Oliver tractors and working in the field and stuff like that with them. And I thought, you know, it's a shame that we can't make videos of that so that people could watch, like in the wintertime, or people who can't do it anymore. My real thought was, you know, maybe we could sell them to people who like were stuck in the nursing home, because they probably would enjoy that as a form of entertainment. You know, a lot of them having run the machines that would be in the videos, and I thought maybe that would be something that people would enjoy. But as with everything, the technology just did not exist at the time. I think our camcorder weighed about 40 pounds and VHS, and I'm very certain it wouldn't hold up to the vibration or the dust. And there was probably no way I could have talked my dad into letting me use it for this idea. So it just never happened. Over the years, this thing called YouTube came along, and I started, you know, looking at it here and there. But in the early days of YouTube, it was basically just short videos. There wasn't, you know, anything that was any kind of length of time. And then, you know, a lot of that had to do with the internet connection. We just did not have good internet connections. You couldn't upload videos very long or good quality, and you couldn't watch videos really of any amount of time or length. I remember the days when, you know, it took you 30 minutes just to download a picture on a web page so you could see what it was talking about. So it was very much a thing that had to do with the technology of the time. And so here in the last few years, I had really kept thinking, I want to get into this, you know, I want to get into this. And I saw some other people finally start making the videos like I had in my mind of what I wanted to do. And so I thought, I really need to get into this and start doing this. And then the certain event, I guess I better not say what, but you know what I'm talking about, that shut the whole world down, kind of stuck everybody at home and started watching all these videos. And I thought, boy, now's the time I should get into this. But I didn't have a camera or anything like that, and didn't really know what I was doing. But one thing that got put on my plate, I guess, was videotaping church services. So I started doing that with my phone, and I learned a little bit about, you know, what it took to put videos on Facebook and YouTube. And that's sort of what pushed me over the edge to get going on this, because the Facebook Live was not always reliable, and people would kind of complain if there was a problem with the video. And so I thought it would be a good idea to have a backup copy of the video so that you could put it on later on YouTube, and then at least if something messed up, there was one copy. So I ended up buying
a GoPro Hero 7 out of my pocket and started using it for that. And I thought, you know, if I'm gonna buy this myself, I might as well use it for some things that I want to do. So that's really what got me started. And that first video that you saw was probably maybe a couple days after I got that camera. I unboxed it and started playing with it. I think I actually recorded the video rebuilding that 1650 injection pump, or putting it back on rather, because I had already had it tore apart by the time the camera got here. But that was actually the first video I recorded, and kind of played with the software on how you edit stuff just to get going. And so then I decided I better film a video that explains what I'm doing and all that. So I went back and did that first, and then it was actually the first one that was uploaded or whatever. So that's what got me started. And like I said, I'm really amazed that people watch and comment and like, because basically I'm just filming the stuff I would do normally, but making a video of it and putting it on the internet so other people can see it.
Today's topic, I thought we would talk about some of the electrical system components on the Oliver tractor, specifically the alternators. Our problem with it today is that it is not keeping the batteries charged, which is really a sad story, because I put 2 brand new batteries in it probably in about June, and it's got to the point now where they won't start the tractor. So this is some type of a mini Chinesium alternator that I got off of the electronic bay, and I really like this thing. It fits right in there, and you have room to spare between it and the side. I don't know if I can show you without the sun shining on it or not, but you've got plenty of room to close the curtain without worrying about it. Oops, got the fuel stop out. Here we go. And right away it's charging. Back it off and it drops a little bit. It's charging a lot right now because those batteries are way low. So it's that time of year again. Let's take this 1755 and the Wagon out there and see what we can find. Today, I have a surprise. I acquired something else off of Auction Time, which, if you haven't been on there, it's addictive, so proceed with caution. This, at first glance, is a 5100 splitter planter. I said at first glance it looks like a 5100 series splitter planter, but after looking at it closer and talking to a few other Oliver Elite, we decided that it was a 6600 series frame with 5100 series units, because see, it has a box tubing tongue, and the 6600 planters were double frame planters, meaning that all your units on there were hanging on this back bar. I haven't made a video in a little while because, as you'll see in a minute, I've been busy hauling in more treasures. So in the last video, I was showing you this 5100 planter that I bought, and in that video I got to talking about how this was not the first air planter that Oliver made, or White, and the first was actually the 5400 Plant Air. So I went back the very next day to the place that I bought the 6100 from several years back, and went to see if they had the 5400 still sitting there in the weeds. And the answer was yes, and they were finally ready to get rid of it. So I acquired it and brought it home, and I've tinkered with it a little bit, and I got all the blowers working. So it is theoretically possible that it will plant again. I don't know that I'll ever really do much with it, but it's a neat piece to have. So let's go look at some of the other stuff that I got. This is a 374 3-point mounted cultivator, and it came from the same place as the plant air. So a couple days later, while looking on Facebook on the old marketplace, I found this, a 105 rake. So I had to go get that too, because, and finally on our list of things, this Oliver 60. Okay, I'm having some electrical difficulties here, but we're gonna use jumper cables and see if we can get it to run. I can't get the push button to crank it, so. We'll give it a little shot of brake clean. The green can brake cleaner seems to be good starting fluid for gas engines, so we'll see what happens. Almost. Well, we're on the way. Oh, look at that. Barely even a touch. And it's running. Actually, at least one more. There's an introductory piece that I don't have, but I can put in a picture right now so you can see it. Hey, I have kind of an interesting story that involves the 1655 here, and it just happened to me just a little bit ago. The 1655 was nosed in to the 1650 here. So I went to start the 1655, which is now out here, as you can see, and cranked it over about 3 times, and it sounded like somebody shot off a high-powered rifle right next to my ear. You know, nothing was happening anymore, and I looked down, and smoke is just coming up from down here, and then I could hear liquid running, and I looked down, and there was juice dripping out of the battery box. So I thought, well, I bet the battery has blown up, and I never had that happen before, but sure enough, take a look at that. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's some pretty good shrapnel from where the battery decided to self-destruct itself. So if you want to know what the inside of a battery looks like, that's what it looks like. I'm gonna have to, oh man, there's just nothing really holding this together anymore at all. I don't know how I'm gonna, short of just dumping it over, which I'm using the OSHA approved method of just handling this battery acid with my bare hands. I'm sure that's good. There's another piece. I think I can find the piece of shrapnel that's got the date on it anymore. There's your problem. Today I thought we'd talk about Oliver wagons, since it's the end of harvest time here, and I've got several different types of wagon gears, and today we're going to try to finish up corn harvest. So I got my cousin out there in the white 8900, and he's combining, and I'm going to take him some wagons. Pretty neat. 2 Oliver wagons, a 55 series tractor, and a 8900 combine. So leave some corn out here, and then in the next few days I'm gonna come out and pick it. So hopefully you'll get to see a video of a number 5 picker. Nubbins.
I'm running the heifer here and you ought to see him go in.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Today I thought we would take the 4180 out and do a little fall tillage. Take the 9650 out with the Landall tool and try to get that a little bit smoother for wheat. Try this, but based on how stuff's been going, I don't think I'm gonna have very good time. But I got my 66 out, pull the wagon full of the wheat, and 77 hooked to the 64 drill. So we're gonna empty some wheat into the buckets and then fill the drill. To use the 88 and the number 5 picker and hopefully finish up our corn harvest. we go, the last row of 2021. Today, the 550 is going to town. we'd start things off a little crappy. And we'll talk about this manure spreader that I just got on Saturday at a consignment sale. Here we are back at the spreader. And amazingly enough, they had the bearing we needed on hand. Well, it's the next day. I ran out of daylight, and more importantly, I ran out of patience. So it was time to walk away. There we go. So as you can tell, some time has passed. I quit filming this, probably it's been maybe 2 days ago now, and this thing is just getting more frustrating by the minute. So I needed a little bit without worrying about the camera. Spinning along the side, going into our gearbox, and turning our bottom beater. So I'm about sick of looking at it, but anyway, down here, it definitely needs a bushing in there or something. That's not right. That's the shaft that the lower set of sprockets rides on. So we're gonna need to give that some love. It's better than it was when I started, so that's a good thing. So they'll head out there now and spend the day trying to find something that the combine missed, but there really isn't all that much, so gives them something to do. Like I said before, there's really not much to do as a cow other than eat, sleep, and poop. So here you got 1/3 of the things. Well, today is the day that people have been waiting on, myself included. We are going to try to get these wheels and tires off and hubs and put on these steel wheels. Oh, no way, no way, that's not even possible. Oh, look at that. Check this out. Here I thought we were gonna have a battle ahead of us and a few taps with just my trusty snap-on hammer, and I can move this hub. Well, there we have it, an Oliver 60 on rear steel. And today, I thought we'd use the old faithful 1650, and we will do some driveway grading here. Today, I thought we would go on a drive. Well, at the end of the video, I was going to talk about some stuff it still needs, and it decided that it was going to add one more thing to the list, and that was fix the seat, because the seat fell off. Luckily, I felt it was leaving, and I stood up, so I didn't hit the ground. But anyway, that's one more thing that needs attention. It's kind of rainy, so I thought I would work on the 9650. And what I'm going to do is I need to put a new headlight relay in. Lights now in front. Seems to be working. We'll go out and look and see if the backlights are working. I think my anger has subsided enough that I'm ready to work on this spreader again. And so we'll take this off and see what we accomplish with this. There. Now you should be able to see it's bent. A bent shaft on a scrapyard manure spreader. Have noticed in any of my videos I do a lot with tools, and I really enjoy tools. I could collect tools if nothing else, but I got something new the other day and I thought we'd try it out today. This is a DeWalt power cleaner. That little rotation action is just enough to get some of that crap off of there. Well, today is actually a Sunday, and I just finished my spraying, and unfortunately my 1800C, I believe, has caught the Losey disease. I don't know if it's been doing some online chatting with Ophelia or not, but all my hydraulic oil is going into the rear end, so in order to keep
spraying, I had to just keep pouring more hydraulic oil in, to the point that it's actually starting to come out of the boot up here and the axles, and I'm really surprised that it hasn't started pouring out of the brakes yet. So this is going to definitely be a future project, taking this cab off, which is a piece of garbage, and that's fine. I've got that year-round cab we can put on it, and we need to take the top off of the hydraulic unit rather off, and more than likely just go ahead and put a new hydraulic pump in it, and we'll check on that seal down in the rear end for the draft control linkage. But it really only leaks when you're running, so it's most likely the hydraulic pump. So I was always taught that bad things come in threes. So Losey had this problem, I had this problem, one of you out there is going to have this problem too, and then hopefully we won't have any more hydraulic seal blowouts for a while. But anyway, I will probably film it whenever I get to that. I really wouldn't put the cab back on if it wasn't for the fact that I don't want to be wearing some of that spray. I've said that before. So I will probably put that year-round cab that came off the 1955, because it's a little bit better condition and it has 2 doors. So that's something that you'll get to see coming up sometime soon.
We're going to work on the Super 88. Now, I don't like this. And I should have left it alone, because God. And it's charging. We're going to work on some fuel system problems, I guess you'd call them, on a few tractors. So the problem we're having here with the 770 is that the sediment bowl is plugged up with rust in the neck. There you go, you can kind of see some of it. So get you a nice hard surface and then just start by tapping. You can see all the stuff that we just got out of there, and we'll let it fill, and then I'll tighten it up because it's got to get air, but it's running in good and fast, so I would say we are in good shape. We'll give it a try again. Our next repair today is the Steel Wheel 60. After that last video when I drove it and the seat fell off, this is as far as it got before it died. And I think that the same problem that we just fixed on the 770 is probably what's wrong with this one. Well, I dug through my parts stash of used parts and found this one. I tried to peen the handle on the other one and didn't have much success, so I'm gonna just swap it out for this one, and hopefully it will seal up. We'll go get the other battery and see if we have a runner here. Well, for the last in our trio of fuel-related projects, we have the 1800C. I'm gonna just go ahead and take this off, and I got a fancy little fuel plate to cover the hole. So I'll show you what I did very scientifically, is lay the gasket off of the fuel pump over this plate, and then made a mark and sawed it off. So I now have a block-off plate the right size. Well, there we have our fancy chromium Chinesium block-off plate installed. So now we'll work on getting these fuel lines out of here. All right, here goes nothing. There we go. I'd like to have the cab on to spray with, just because some of this stuff I use, I really don't know that I want to wear it, because I might start glowing or something. I just wanted to thank you for all of your likes and comments and subscriptions over this past, I guess it's been about 6 months since I started YouTube. I started in June. Upcoming projects I hope to do in the next few months is get some of my plows back in order. This 565 and then this 5540 are the two plows that we had all the time through the years. So of course, the other day, after buying all these different coulters, I've got a whole pile there too that I'm gonna put on that other pull type pipe plow. But anyway, after buying them, I found the other ones back again. This is my 566 plow, and as you can see, it's got the concave coulters because it doesn't have the cover boards. Last year, which I guess is before my YouTube days, so you probably don't know about this, but I bought this, which is a 4441 plow. Back. This is our first video of the new year. I mentioned that I had bought a 565 for parts, and that is this one. And I just think it's too good to throw away, so we're gonna save it too. Okay, so like I was talking about, here is the hub off of the tail wheel of that plow. We've got a problem, and the problem is this. That is not gonna work. Okay, perpetual motion fans, I think I have figured out that this will work, but I have to get different bearings that fit that hub. But this one needs the most attention, so I need to get new points, which I have in the building, and there's a couple moldboards that aren't the greatest, but quite honestly, you could probably weld on them a little bit or something for no more than I'm going to use them, but we'll figure that out later. Being stubborn to get out of there, but they are coming loose. And see if we can get this off. Or at least loosen it up where we can rotate it and get it off. It is moving, so that's good. I also noticed that I'm going to be getting a new tool, a new snap-on hammer, because this one hasn't got very much longer before it's not going to be a hammer anymore. So I thought it'd be a good time to just talk about different types of bearings and what they do and why we use what we use. There we go. I'd say it was the 8 extra Oz's that did it. That handle or hammer is just a little bit heavier and handle slightly longer, which is great because then when you're using this as a pry bar, you can really get with it. That's one thing about this, I will say, and I'm not, you know, being paid to say this, but if you want a good hammer, get one of these snap-on hammers. It's expensive, but boy, it's very useful. You can use it as everything. Hub remover, bearing puller, I mean, pry bar, you can use it as a wheel chock, you can use it just about anything. It doesn't work as good as a hitch pin, it's a little too big around, I've tried that, but basically anything else. Glass cutter works good at that, you know. If you got something you need taken out, this is the way to go. So get you one of these if you want a good hammer. This is the 565 5 bottom, and as we last remember, it needed tail wheel work, and I think I found a moldboard that's going to work. So now we'll get a wheel on it, and then I think we can attempt to pick it back up on its wheel. Today I thought we would start getting the 1855 ready for spring, and then if it rotates easy, we'll unscrew it all the way and then grease it and then put it back. Well, that's not fitting at all right. Let's take the other thing off. I'm a blacksmith.
Well, the old Super 88's just been patiently hanging out waiting for a new radiator. And after the National Oliver show, some of my pals found a used one out of an 880. And I told them to go ahead and get that, so I'll get that at some point. But then a few days later, I decided, you know, I might as well use some of that extra transmission lube oil that I drained out of the 4180 and get myself all lubed up and just go ahead and pay the double price for a new one. So that's what I did. So hopefully in the next few days there will be a new radiator for the Super 88 coming. And some of you probably are going to say, well, I commented on that video and I found one for $456 in the United States, and I ordered that, and a few days after I ordered it they canceled my order and said they didn't have one and there was nothing to be found. So the cheapest one I was able to find was $600, and boy, that hurts. But I like this tractor and I use it quite a bit, so I'm just going to go ahead and put it in and look the other way, and then when I get that other used radiator I'll have a spare on hand for other projects, because I know it will be not that much time before I start dragging something else in that I find. So it's always good to have extra stuff on hand like that.
Today, I thought we'd do a little background history on my 1855 here. So we got it going and brought it back home and put it to work. When I got it, it did not have fender tanks on it, as you can see in those pictures. It had regular fenders. People always ask, what's your favorite? Well, that's hard to say, but this one would be in the top 5 of ones that would be the last ones to leave if I had to sell them all. I just really like this tractor. And today we're going to do something not Oliver related, but some of the techniques used in this, I guess you can apply to Oliver stuff. The old one you can tell was rough cut probably with a knife because it's not even on all the sides. Well, if it was warmer, I'd start it up and let you hear it run, but when it's cold like this, they're really cantankerous. I'm going to share some information that maybe I left out of the other videos, or in some cases, I didn't know until after reading the comments. So the little oil cooler here got some attention. And I said in that other video that I thought this was something that somebody had added on aftermarket. And sure enough, if you look on the AGCO parts books, you can see engine oil cooler, serial number 220000 to 244324. And we go to that, and sure enough, there it is. It's interesting that my paper parts book must be old enough that it had not had this update put in it yet, because like I said, I had never seen it in my parts book, and the only model that this showed up on, as far as I know, was the 1855, because the 1955 did not have this type of oil filter housing because it already had the cooler in it. When last we left it, it had decided that it did not like me riding, so it ejected me. But that's not the project we're going to work on today. It is this right here. Way back when we first got it running, I had bought new plug wires and a cap for it, and like usual, I threw it in the front seat of my pickup, and there it's been riding all this time, and I'm sick of moving around in there with it, so it's time to put it on. We got good oil pressure. That's good. Today we're going to start working on putting power beyond on the 1855. We're eventually going to do it to the 1755 too. That way there will be a backup tractor in case something happens to this one, and go something like this. That shouldn't interfere with my draft linkage. And then it's nice from the seat where you could shut that off. And you can see my little bracket that I made here. It actually goes like this. So we'll get that mounted up in there. and we'll see how that looks. I try not to swear in my videos, and I try to edit them out when I do. But let's just say that this video you're about to watch is brought to you by the letter F, the letter GD, SOB, FU, and POS. Watch at your own risk.
No.
Oh, yay! The bolt twisted off. So now we get to take it all apart. Fantastic. So this just went from being a simple, you know, one-day job to I'm gonna probably be ordering gaskets and gotta take the seat off now and just make this a grand old time. We'll get to it, I guess. I think we can probably go ahead and put this line on. No, we can't, because it goes in that plate. Son of takes a turn for the worse. The whole top off of this, so I guess we might as well get started on that. We'll get rid of some of this dirt first. I can't really psych myself up to have to take all that other stuff loose, so. Oh, it just doesn't want to play nice. Oh, God. Is there some reason why you cannot work today? Princess. And since our last video, working on the 1855, I've calmed down and taken a handful of blood pressure medicine. And I think I'm ready to start tackling this again. If you haven't been watching, in the last video, we were just on such a happy road of getting this done. And then one of these bolts twisted off way down in there. So now I get to strip the top off of here so that I can get to that and get it out. And here is our very terrible bolt that decided to ruin my life. So we'll work on that, I think, in the next one, because my frustration level is still pretty high, and usually you start breaking things when you do that. I'm thinking that I might first try to just heat it and see if I can gently turn it out of there, because that is going to be a much more controllable flame than just taking a welder and going bananas on it, because there's a lot of dirt and dried oil, and there's still a little remnant of oil down in the pan here. So I'm going to try it this way first. Oh, we got it. Yay. I think our O-ring definitely can stand to be replaced. We're back from our afternoon bus run, and I got the filter housing put back up in there. Cleaned up this whole area, as well as the filter bracket and the head, and meadow greenified this area a little bit because it was pretty well down to the primer. So I'm happy with that. We got our elbow hose put back on tight. Now we are ready to connect this hose. Welcome back to take 2 of rebuilding an Oliver hydraulic cylinder. Not part 2, this is take 2. You see, I had this completely filmed and then through stupidity, I accidentally deleted most of the footage from the project I was working on, so I'm going to refilm. It needs replaced too. If you can see it, there's a cut in it. And so it's old and brittle too, I'm sure, so this isn't wasted. Here, there's a chunk out of it. So this one was leaking externally too. Got some more stuff in the mail, including this handy little fitting, which will take the place of the compression tube style that goes to the line that pressurizes our 3-point hitch and remotes. So I'm pretty excited about that. So here's my new gaskets for the lid, and these are the good ones. They're Das Original, so you know, with the German technology built into them, that they're good. Once again, you can see there while I'm doing this, at one point in this fitting's life, it had a very bad cross thread problem, but it was still able to be used because it was on here, but it's time to replace it. All right, let's give it a try. All right. You can feel that it's blowing air. I don't really know how to show you. Well, like this. You can see that it is in fact turning. Sadly enough though, my gauge is broken. I've got a new one, but I haven't got it mounted up yet. This one appears that the needle is gone, so when we work on the planter, that'll be in that video. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our special homemade clamp deal off of here and attempt to slide the piston back into the bore of the cylinder. Then we can start reassembling. But otherwise, I think we are to the point where we can put hoses on it and try it. See what we get. Look at that. Picks her right up. Put her down. We got a leak. Where are we leaking? I think that our T is not in here tight enough. I hope that's what it is. Today we're going to go on a service call. Plus this is a job that we should be able to accomplish with a few simple hand tools, a roll of electrical tape, and a simple duck. So let's get started. Well, here we are at secret location J and our very nice original 1750. It's still a sweet old tractor. Well, there we have a tractor back in service and hopefully a satisfied customer. And we didn't even need the duck. So I thought I'd get this one started and kind of get it going because it is a sick horse. It really needs rebuilt and I don't do a lot with it. You know, putted around here. I bought it and really painted it up nice and I thought I had something, and then the motor just kept going downhill more and more and more. So anyway, I had it running. It was running as good as it ever did. Smokes like a freight train, but hey. So it was running and it sputtered, and then wide open was like an idle, and then it died. So I got to looking at it and haven't got any fuel coming out. As usual, the GoPro died, so I at least wanted to get you some video to show you that it actually runs. And since we are newly with 1,000 subscribers, I thought we would kick it off with an equipment tour. So I've been thinking about different ways to do this, and I think we'll just go in sort of chronological order of how old they are. So we'll start with another tractor and then we'll come back here later. This is the oldest tractor in my collection. This is about a 1935 or so Oliver Hartpar 2844. Well, here we have my pair of Oliver 60s. This is my Oliver 70. So here we have my three beauties. And today we continue with part 2 of my equipment tour. Today we'll talk about the Super series of tractors. If you followed that whole series of videos on putting Power Beyond on, which turned into quite the ordeal, I told you at the end of one of those that I'm pretty sure this one is leaking slightly, so it would probably be a good idea to go ahead and replace it. Okay, so I have shortened the rod. You can see about that much, maybe you can. But anyway, we're gonna put that on and try and see if that's enough. I think I'm gonna leave it there for now. I can always add more later, but I think that's an adequate amount of lifting height, so we'll stop with that. Today I thought we would look at some different white literature. Maybe we can do this every Wednesday, but I figured we'd start with the Workhorse series literature. So it's pretty simple to remember how it goes because each end is a different size. So the wider one goes at the bottom and the narrower one goes up here at the top. And we'll make sure we grease everything up good before we put it on. But I think this is going to work out good. And like I said, once we hook it up, we'll see how it sits and then do the final adjustment. Here we are with part 3 of the equipment tour. And we're going to talk about 3-digit tractors. Today we're going to try to clean up these fuel lines a little bit. They work just fine, but I don't like the way they look all bent around and everything. So otherwise I think that is a successful completion of a project. It really didn't take, you know, but maybe an hour, a little better to do it. So today we would look at the 4225 and 4270 literature. And today we're going to work on the Steel Wheel 60. I got in the mail a brand new water pump, which is still wrapped up in the nice paper. And we are going to attempt to change that on here because this one was leaking. And then hopefully this tractor will be more usable. Oh, we shouldn't watch it while it's doing that. That's not polite. I really don't want to take the radiator off just to do this, but I don't know if I'm going to have much choice here before too long. Look at this tool. You thing, you had your chance, but you didn't play nice. So now guess what happened? Okay, so this happened. If you didn't see part 1 of this video, I started putting a water pump on and then one thing led to another. And I eventually decided it would be a good idea to just clean it up and start painting part of it. Oh, of course. Here we go. Oh, listen to that. Hasn't been run in a good while and it fired on the first go round. I want to work on the grill. It's missing a few bars, like a bad cell phone, so. Well, it started to rain, but here's what I got so far on the grill repair. And it comes at great cost, what I do for these things, because I gave life and limb for this project. It turns out the grinder is no match for the meat hammer, so I figured we might as well look at it on the tractor to get the full effect. But I think once that's yellow, you won't really be able to tell. This is stupid to be filming this. So I had enough sense to just cut the cord off so that I still had my wires to the correct thing. But we got to get this loose so we can feed our new cord in. But it's working, so we should be good to go next time we want to use it. Finally, on our list of things to do today, I think we'll put back together this other hydraulic cylinder. I got another kit, and I might as well do it while I'm thinking about it, because I can always use a hydraulic cylinder, and it doesn't do any good to just sit here in pieces. So there we go. Well, there we have another rebuilt cylinder. So we'll set this aside because you'll see it in another project coming up. And it stopped the leak then, but it's just, I guess, needs attention. So we got to take all of the valves off in order to do that. So while we do that, we might as well rebuild the valves. So here you can see our complete hydraulic valve assembly off of the tractor. Definitely in need of some cleaning up and resealing. We're going to rebuild this valve, which came up the 1855, but it's the same on like 17, 18, 1955, 2255, the whites, 285, 2105, etc. And the first thing we're going to do is just take everything off of it, and then we'll start building back as we clean it up. There is some stuff we have to disassemble in here, so we will do that in a minute. We'll clamp this in the vise, but we'll get this cleaned up so it's ready to go back together. When we take this off, there's going to be 3 steel balls that fall out. There's one. There's 2 in my hand. And it's holding magnetically. The magnet's strong enough. Let's try to get them. There's 2. Let's get 3. There we go. We cut all 3, thank goodness. But we are good to go. I did not get footage of putting these back on. These hydraulic valves back on. But I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just the opposite of the way we took them off. I got 3 of the lines hooked back up to the remote outlets, and the 4th one, I went and got a new one made so that it matches, because I mentioned a while back that bothered me all the time that one was 3/8 line. So we're going to go ahead and put this on, and then we should be ready to put the oil back in the tractor and check our work and see if it leaks. So this is my 5440 Plow, which is made for the power traction hitch on the 770, which is right over here. And you saw this plow in the video where I talked about the power traction hitch, but this whole tail wheel assembly was stuck and it wouldn't go up or down. And I just got it unstuck after much heating and beating and pulling and everything else. And it was hard to do anything with when you had 2 different linkages in it. So what I eventually accomplished was I got the top one out first by just driving against it, and got it knocked loose, and then I could get to the second one. I ended up getting the tail wheel assembly off, and then after that I was able to heat this right there at the bottom and then kind of work it up and down until I got it loose, and now it's apart. I don't know if it has to be there. That's what it has to be. Okay, so that answered my question, as I about threw it on myself. Hey, I've been called out for the What's in Your Pocket challenge by Crazy Dave 4455, but you are in luck, friends, because since it is still decided to be winter here, I have my big farm coat on, and I can tell you from a quick airport style pat down that I definitely would be on the no-fly list, because I'm sure that it's about to get ridiculous. Second, I think I'm going to challenge my good pal, that Oliver guy, Chris Losey, to see what's in his pockets. If you haven't seen his channel, he's got a whole bunch of Oliver and White equipment and does videos like mine where you work on things and different things around the farm. And he's got the big Oliver 1950 GM with the Terra tires on it that he calls Herman. So check his channel out. We want to see what's in his pockets. He might even have a little Herman in his pocket. I guess let's stop there though. I'm going to clarify that. Chris, if you carry around a 1/64 scale model of an Oliver 1950 with Terra tires, you can show us that, but please, for the love of goodness, do not pull little Herman Losey out of your pocket. I am taking apart this 4340 parts plow. We already robbed the hub off of it to fix that semi-mounted plow. I'm not usually in the habit of parting things out, but this plow is going to give its life to save 4 others, so I think it's a worthwhile endeavor. Here is what we need our hitch for. This is a recently acquired 4340 4-bottom plow. We got cylinder hoses. Now we need to, I want to make a piece that fits on this rod that holds the hoses like the original, and we need to fix that handle. So we have 2 things to do still, and then this one will be, I think, ready to try whenever the opportunity presents itself. And this is part 4 of my equipment tour, the 150 series tractors, and I figured I'd lump them together, and then in the next video we'll do 55 series and newer. Here we have a 1964 1650, and this is one of the tractors I grew up on that we've had the whole time. And boy, if it could talk, it probably would have a lot to say. It's just been a good tractor. I mean, it's got a lot of battle scars from just doing everything around here. And like I said, it's one of the last ones that'll leave if that ever has to happen. So 1650 gas that has been in my family, I guess not, it wasn't new when Grandpa got it. It was about a year old, and our salesman, like I've talked about before, was the kind of guy that he wouldn't quit till he sold you something. And Grandpa told him he wanted a 4-bottom plow tractor, and like the next day or so, here he came driving in with this with a 4-bottom plow hook behind it. He had went to some other guy's farm and traded him a bigger one, and then drove this one over here. So we're the second owners, but we've had it by far the longest. So anyway, 1650 gas. So I'm here again at the 770 with the 5440 plow. I found a sales notes dated December 1959 that talks about an adapter kit where you could put this 5440 plow to the IH 2-point fast kit. So I'm at it again. This is a 3241 plow that I bought last summer, and if you look at it, you can tell that it used to be a 3-bottom because of the extra bracketry. And so I figure with the pieces I have hanging around here that I might be able to make it into a 3-bottom again. I've always heard that you could drill hardened steel with masonry drill bits if you sharpen the tip a little bit. So I think we're gonna give that a go too and see if that does what we want to do. Well, I should have probably had the camera on record, but I have to say I am impressed. One carbide 5/8 masonry bit has just punched a 5/8 hole through this, what is it, inch and a half thick bar, and it didn't really grunt or anything. I mean, I put lots of oil on and just went slow, but it punched right through there. What the heck was that? Huh, that was interesting. Something puffed the magic dragon there. So here's what I got. This is the final result. A 3-bottom 3241 plow. And I don't know if I pointed it out earlier on, but the biggest way that I've noticed to tell the 3241 from the 3240 is this piece that your front coulter goes on a 3241 is bolted to the front, and on the other ones it's part of this beam and comes out at an angle. But I might be wrong. There might be some other obvious thing I've overlooked, but Anyway, so I actually acquired 3 things, but this is the first one we'll talk about. This is a 546 plow, and this would have been what would have been around the era of the 55 series tractors. Now we'll go look at the other 2 things I bought. So here I have a add-on plow bottom, which most likely came off of that plow. It was at the same place, but looking at it, it has not been on the plow in years and years and years. You can tell it's been laying down in the dirt. And then this little cute little thing, take a good look at it because it's not going to look like this for long. But what I needed are these little shank units, because I have a 385 3-point field cultivator, and I'm missing some. Well, again, say goodbye to it. It's kind of like the dog in the Chinese restaurant. It's not going to be there the next time you go. So bye-bye, field cultivator. Well, here it is, 25 total shanks on it now. I really think it needs 2 more up in front. And then you have to like torch off 1/2 of the point, which is a thing if you're running next to a tire. So it's not the only one I have. I bought this 285, which came from our dealer. So that's cool. And a guy quit farming, and I don't know, they had a few pieces of miscellaneous equipment and he wanted to sell it, so it was a really good price. So we're gonna tug on this and see what happens, but I don't look for anything good to happen here other than rip my drawbar off. So you can see how deep that is. You want a comparison? I'll step in the hole. Little Herman is about touching the top of the ground here, and my leg is in the hole, so that gives you some idea. Let's watch a short film on why hooking to the drawbar is important. We're back ready to roll. The only thing I got to do is crawl underneath and put the pin back in this. We're going to do some more corn selling. Well, mine isn't as long as some of the other guys's, so it doesn't go all the way to the end, but that's okay. It's all in how you use it. Well, I got the hay burners fed for today. I've been feeding them squares every night since that getting stuck video. I figure maybe this way I don't have the same problem again. Did I buy a case? No, I didn't. Somebody dropped it off today for me to put a clutch in it. So I see one of the fruit trees is in bloom here. My grandma loved flowers, and so we have a bunch of these flowering trees, and every so often they all come in bloom at the same time. I don't know that they'll do it this year, but see that and remember her and how much she loved her flowers. So the last thing I want to do is put these coulter arms back on this plow. This is our 4-bottom. We started this project way back when, and this stuff has just been sitting around and I don't want to be tripping over it. Pretty cool. Hasn't been on there my entire life, so hooray. Today, by special request from the Pennsylvania grain farmer, we're going to look at literature for the 288 and 110 tractors. To start with, we'll look at the introductory pieces. And this is part 5 of my equipment tour, the 55 series tractors and newer. And I have 4 of the Charles City built 55 tractors. This is my 1974 Oliver 1655 that has only lived on this farm. My grandpa bought this brand new, and as a kid it was probably my favorite tractor. And people always say, what's the last one you'd get rid of? Well, this is it. I think this would go shortly before I started selling myself on the street. This tractor is going to stay here until they cart me out of here flat. So anyway, it is a gas 1655, and the story, of course, I told in the 50 series video about Grandpa running the 1650 diesel and got the hiccups, and he said he'd never own another diesel tractor. And so that was true. When he went to buy this, they had to hunt him up a gas one, and there were not that many gas ones available. He said that the salesman had told him that they weren't making them anymore, but I don't know that I believe that, because they made some 270 whites in gas variety. But anyway, this one actually, when I got the build card, shows that it was shipped to a dealer in Fort Wayne. So our dealer obviously got it from there. It was born with a wide front. Grandpa wanted a narrow front, so the dealer put the narrow front on somewhere along the way. And I keep trying to remember what else is on the build card. I don't remember if it was ordered with wheel weights, but I don't know whatever happened to them, because we don't have them, so I don't know how that came about. But it came with 1 base weight and 2 slabs, I know that. And he gave even $10,000 for it, because I've still got the receipt from our dealer that shows what he paid for it. This is a tractor that's just always been in our family and always will be as long as I'm around. And handy size tractor, 1655. There's just a lot of jobs on the farm that it's good for. I mean, it's nimble enough to get around in barn lots and stuff. And I don't know. I could say a lot about this one too, just because I grew up with it. This is the tractor that was in that picture from my birthday when I was a kid, because I wanted to drive a tractor to impress all of my party guests, you see. And so, like I said, this is probably the last one I would ever get rid of. You know, it wouldn't go without a fight, I'll tell you that. But anyway, 1974 1655 gas. Finally in our tour, we have these 2 units. And we'll start over here with Mighty Whitey. This is a 1976 4180 white. This was the second 4-wheel drive tractor in White's offering of articulated tractors. The 4150 came out first, and then this was the big brother. And today we are going to do a special request video from a viewer named Michael. He says, Ross, I always watch your videos. I also farm here in southern Ohio. I know you have a tool truck, which I've seen on your videos, and I also watch the videos of everything you carry in your pockets, which I found quite amusing. The reason I'm writing you, I've been watching a lot of videos lately about everyday tool kits, and it seems there are no tool kits for farmers. Based on his question, I would say that there's no right answer for every one person, I guess. You know, it's hard to pick something that would do it for everybody. So I'll show you some examples of things I have here, because what I have done essentially is I've got some toolboxes that have general tools that I think I might need to be able to fix something real quick. And then I have individual boxes with just special stuff in them. And we'll go through that here, and maybe that'll give you some ideas, and you can pick and choose what you think you might need. Some viewer mail that I have gotten, and I can't believe that people send me anything but hate mail, so I'm always pleasantly surprised when something shows up. So first, I have this thermos, which was sent to me by the AGCO corporate shop. Next, I have a couple boxes, and I want to read you the email that was sent along with them. It's from a viewer named Steve. I don't know if he wants his name on here, so I'll just say Steve. He says, I sent you a couple care packages. One has some Oliver manuals and sales literature. The other one has some parts that it looked like you could use after seeing your videos. First box, and I am just thrilled to death about this. I can't believe somebody would send this much stuff, but we have an operator's manual. We've got a piece of literature on a 450 pull type plow. We have some crawler literature. We have a operator's manual for an old style 88. That's kind of unusual to see. And an operator's manual for a 77, which is good because I've got more than one of those. A parts catalog for a 770 and 880. A parts book. Well, it's got an operator's book or something for a cultivator, but it's got a parts book for the 88 and Super 88, and this is one that I don't have. I have the 66 and 77, and I almost bought one the other day, and then this one showed up in the mail, so that was good timing. Let's see what he sent in the parts box. We have a plow shin, which is good because watching those plow videos, several of them wore pretty bad, so that will definitely be put to use. So thank you very much, Steve. Totally unexpected, but I appreciate everything you've done, and I appreciate all of you who watch the videos. And you know, I'm amazed at how many people watch it and how far it goes, and that somebody would take the time to send me some stuff and spend a lot on shipping just to get it here. So that's pretty neat. One of them being this 5440 plow. I want to put on this trash board that viewer Steve sent me in that mail video. But before we do that, there's another thing I want to go do, and we'll go do that right now. I was sick and tired of not having a step on this side. Well, plan A failed, so I guess plan B is to just go ahead and try to bring this back around. Well, that's better. I'm still not happy with this bolt on all three of them. I need to get a different one, I guess. But now we're sitting where this is on top of things. Well, as per usual, our simple projects turn into way more than we bargained for, but here's the step. I kind of spliced onto there and tried to blend it in. It's still pretty rough, but it's a lot better than it was. Finished putting this tire on the 5440 plow. I got a tube, which I was waiting on the 550. And I've got a friend in Iowa who would consider this to be a mint condition tire, but I don't think so. So I'm going to replace it, because when you can see tube, your days are numbered. So if he wants this tire, I guess I can mail it to him, but I'm going to just take it off today. Oh man, my tire guy must have got excited. Look at how long of a valve stem he gave me. I'm not sure that this is going to do what I want, but I don't really have a choice today. Well, as usual, I guess I'll have to call this a half win. We got a new tire, but only for a limited time, because it sticks out a good inch or so past the edge of the tire, so I'm sure I'll tear it. I texted my tire guy and told him not to store his tubes and Viagra on the same shelf anymore, but he said this should only last 4 hours. So, and the time is finally here that we need to get this planter going. And I worked on it all day yesterday, and I didn't get any video, but I really needed to just keep plugging along and work on it. So the biggest thing that bothered me when I got it was it had just a ridiculous amount of hydraulic hoses everywhere that were just a mess. Here you can see the pile that I have removed, and not in very good shape, plus they were sloppy. So I knew I wanted to kind of clean it up a little bit. The marker hoses were the worst. They were so long they were dragging the ground. And so I made hard lines and thought I would do little short ends of hose here to each cylinder, and thought that would clean it up a little bit. Well, then after looking at that, I thought I might as well just do it all. So I've been working on that. We're going on a field trip. And here's the answer. Some 2844 fenders. We're gonna engage in some precision machine work to take this din out. Something like that. A few more licks like that, I think it'll work. Fixed. Sweet. It's awesome. Shall we? I think we shall. Try to work up some ground. So we got the 4180 hooked to the 272 disc, and we'll see what happens. Try to spread some fertilizer. I have the 1650 here that we had all the time hooked to the fertilizer buggy from the local co-op. Well, let's see if Big Al here can make a dent in this project. It has not gone without casualties. I did not notice that this was leaking until I got back from my bus route and was going to get into this tractor again. Today, hopefully we can get more work done on this soybean planter. Since last time, I don't remember if I shot any footage of it or not, but I ended up heating up most of these adjusters and got them all where they turn easy again. And then in between the two would be where the thing was, but if it beeps, maybe that's where it is. Oh, look! Well, as you can see, we didn't have much success. There was a lot of false blips on the old Scooby-Doo radar detector or whatever that was. In usual fashion, here we are at the last minute trying to get this ready to plant corn. Now, before we get carried away, we're going to open a bag of corn and throw a handful down in there and make sure it fits in the plates. And we'll take a handful of the deadly poison corn and we'll just trickle it down. And you can see it falling into the little plate, into the little grooves. And that's what we want, to make sure that it just naturally falls in and two don't fall in or whatever. And so I'm satisfied that that is going to work correctly. So we're going to try to get some corn planted. We're going to tackle trying to take this front axle, which is a ZF axle, apart on the 9650 so that we can figure out what we need and get the parts ordered and hopefully get this back into service, because it has an excellent air conditioner and we don't want to miss out on that when the weather gets hotter. Oh, that wasn't on there tight at all. Well, willkommen. Wenn Sie meinen Videos noch nie gesehen haben, bin ich Ross der Oliver Mann. Und heute werden wir diese Zahnradfabrik-Achse wieder zusammenbauen. Lass uns anfangen. So it's been several days, and so far it looks like we have no leaks. And today we're going to try to get some footage of this 5440 plow behind the 770. And today there's a few things I want to do to the 1755 and to this 546 plow. What are you going to do? Let's try this one. Looks like a duck. It quacks like a duck. Is it a duck? Seems awfully thick. And sometimes she can't handle thick. Oh, man. I'm doing it wrong again. What a dumb. I did it wrong twice now. I want to go this way. Oh, idiot. That was nice. Well, it works. I am now soaked, but that got out of hand quickly. Turns out, having a housing that does not have a crack in it, that pump will build up a lot more pressure a lot more quickly. The 4180 here has decided no more lube in the rear end. No lube pressure at all. I'm not quite ready to throw in the towel yet, seeing as how there's rain coming and I really would like to plant some soybeans. So I'm thinking 1755 and my old 252 disc with a harrow on the back. It won't be nearly as smooth as the soil finisher, but it should be good enough to plant some soybeans. So we're going to try that and see if we can't hang a rod out of the side of this motor, because that's pretty well the way things have been going. Today's video is brought to you by Simon, the seed singulation mouse. Check your meters for obstructions. Thanks, Simon, for that great advice. And today is finally the day that we're going to see if this splitter planter actually does its job. Today we're out here at the Jackson County Fairgrounds taking in this show and swap meet.
My favorite Oliver YouTuber, Ross the Oliver Man.
There we go.
He is awesome. And hopefully eventually you can follow me on Tiny House Compound.
Cummins. And a good tractor down here, an 88 Industrial. That's kind of neat. I missed a chance to buy an Industrial one of these one time, and kind of wish I had. I think it would have been something different. But got an hour meter in there. And a little toy 9650. I bet that one doesn't leak out of the front end. There's the good stuff. More good tractors. 77 single front wheel. Old style 88 standard, which it was at our fair last year, and somebody talked to me right when I was there, and I don't think I got this on that video, but it was there if you saw it in the background and wondered why I didn't say something. It's because I got distracted. The 77 Orchard that I believe he just got. These are my neighbors. And the 70 Orchard. So we're here at the consignment auction portion of this show. And I should have started filming sooner, but I ended up buying something. I'm not going to reveal it just yet, but I'll let you look at some stuff. I'll let you guess what I bought.
I have 50 now 60, now 5, now 70, and now 75, $80, $80 and a 5, now 90, now 95, $100, $100, ready to be wanting, ready to be wanting, ready to be one. I have 95, ready to be wanting, ready to be wanting, ready to be one. 95, ready to be wanting, ready to be wanting, ready to be one. Sold them here, $95.
Well, if you guessed Death Trap Log Splitter, you were right. I saw this, and for $42, I thought that it might be worth giving it a try. I've seen them on the internet and never believed they really work that great, but we'll find out. I've already had people saying they can't wait to see the video where I kill myself doing this, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, my friends just sent me a text that they're at some kind of festival. I think I'm going to have to make new friends. And you can see where it's been making metal on metal contact. But I do not regret taking this apart for the fact that, I don't know if you can see it or not, in the half link down here, it is missing the pin. Pickup tube. Boy, I'm getting it farther and farther away from me. Well, I'll tell you, the housing on the tractor is definitely getting ground down, because this is impossible to get out of here in one piece. First reveal, and that's what it is. It busted this all to bits. The gerotor pump was invented in like the 1920s by a guy, I think his name was Myron Hill. And the way this works is it's an eccentric. You can see in the pump housing, the shaft is not truly in the center. And what that does is, the whole time that this is pumping, this lobe here is just traveling around like this inside of there. Well, here we are at the 9650, which I managed to maneuver into Mom and Dad's yard so that I could take advantage of this shade tree to work on it, because it's about 140 degrees outside with 99% humidity. So I figured anything would help. Well, that was nice. Hit me in the head. Well, what better way to test it out than to work up this wet corner and get it ready to finish planting our field of soybeans here. And today, hopefully, we're going to start getting the 4180 reassembled. If you remember from the last video, we had some lube pump problems on the back end, and it is quite difficult to get to what we have to get to in order to fix it. And in the comments of that last video, there were tons of questions about these articulated tractors, and a lot of people wanted to know whether this was the same procedure for a 4150 and all kinds of things like that, and it is not. The 4150 and the 4180 are two very different animals, and so I might as well explain some of that while we're here. If you look at these two tractors, they look very similar, with the exception of that there is the outboard planetaries on the 4180. You see the ring gear would normally be over here, and now it's over here, and the lube pump on the row crop tractors would go there. And it's interesting, if I get my light, you can even see they machined the hole like the normal lube pump would be. They had to move it over here and down in this pocket. And my thought was, why in the world would they not have put it up here, you know, where there was nothing? But I guess you would have to worry about possibly it not getting enough prime, because it would be a little bit higher maybe. I don't know. I thought maybe they'd worried that the chain wouldn't get enough lube being up higher, you know, because things are splashing it with oil down there a lot better. But they didn't do that. They put it down in that pocket. And so what I did here to put it back in was no easy task. I ground on this housing. See, normally your pickup tube on your lube pump would come straight down, and it would be above that drain plug hole. And then your plug would have a screen made on it that goes over that tube so that you can pull the plug and then, you know, clean your screen and whatever. And this one, you can't do that. It's down in there, and the only way to get to it is if you do what I did and take this all apart. Well, as always, thank you for watching my videos. I really can't believe that anybody finds any of this that worthwhile to watch. But if you could, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, because that really helps the channel grow. And subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss whatever comes next. Thank you again for watching, and hopefully I will see you many times in the future in the next videos.